Hey everyone, welcome back to Corporate Decoder, the place where we uncover the hidden stories behind those dense financial reports. And today we're looking at Datavault AI Incorporated. It seems there is a bit of a financial dance happening with some significant share movements and surprising shareholder votes. So let's dive in. Before we get into the nitty gritty, if you enjoy these deep dives into corporate filings, make sure you are subscribed. And hey, we've got a growing community on Discord where we break down these reports in real time, so check that link in the description below. Alright, so this report is all about what happened on the 24th of November, 2025, kind of like a snapshot of a really important day for Datavault AI Incorporated. This isn't just any report, it is an 8K, which is for special events that shareholders really need to know about, like major deals or big decisions. First up, let's talk about a deal that has been brewing. Back in September, Datavault AI made a deal to sell some shares and a special kind of option called a pre-funded warrant to Silex Holding Company. This was a big deal, worth about $150 million, paid for in Bitcoin. Yes, you heard that right, Bitcoin? The initial part of the deal closed in September, but the really interesting part happened on the 24th of November. So, on the 24th of November, after getting their stockholders' green light, Datavault AI finally got paid for this pre-funded warrant in Bitcoin and issued it over to Silex. And here is the kicker. Silex immediately used that warrant to buy a whole lot more shares. This whole thing was done using a special filing that lets companies sell stock more easily. So it was all above board. The details of this purchase agreement and the warrant itself are pretty complex, but essentially it means a significant transfer of ownership or potential ownership happened. Now for shareholders, a really crucial vote happened on this same day. The company asked its shareholders to approve a massive increase in the number of shares they are allowed to issue. Imagine a company currently allowed to issue 320 million shares, and they want to bump that up to a staggering 2.02 billion shares. That is about a six-fold increase. Most of these new shares are planned to be common stock. This kind of move often happens when a company is planning for future funding rounds, acquisitions, or needs to issue a lot of stock for complex transactions, like the one we just discussed. It was approved by the shareholders, so the paperwork to make it official was filed with Delaware that same day. This brings us to the annual meeting of stockholders that also happened on the 24th of November. This meeting is where shareholders get to vote on important company matters. We're talking about electing directors, approving the company's auditors, and those key proposals we just touched upon. First, the election of the board of directors. 9 nominees were put up for election, and they were all elected to serve until the next annual meeting. Looking at the vote counts for each nominee, like for Nathaniel Bradley, for instance, we see a majority of votes in favor, with a smaller number withheld and a significant chunk of broker non-votes. Broker non-votes happen when a shareholder hasn't given their broker instructions on how to vote their shares. While all directors were elected, it is always interesting to see the breakdown of support. Next up, the company's auditors. Shareholders voted to approve BPM LLP as the independent accounting firm for the year, ending the 31st of December 2025. This is a standard but important vote to ensure the company's financial statements are independently reviewed. The vote here was overwhelmingly in favor, which is a good sign of confidence in the auditors. Here is that massive share increase proposal, again Proposal 3. As we saw earlier, this was approved by the shareholders. However, it is worth noting that while over 75 million shares voted for it, almost 9 million voted against, and over 1 million abstained. This indicates that while the majority supported it, there is a segment of shareholders who have concerns or questions about this significant dilution of their ownership stake. Finally, Proposal 4 is directly related to that big deal with Silex. This proposal was about approving the issuance of shares, which would be 20% or more of the company's outstanding stock, as a result of exercising that pre-funded warrant. This is a NASDAQ rule that requires shareholder approval for certain large stock issuances. The shareholders gave their approval for this transaction with about 60 million votes in favor. However, there were over 2 million votes against and a significant number of broker non-votes, over 22 million. This shows there is a notable portion of the shareholder base who may be hesitant about dilution or the terms of this specific deal. So, what is the story here? Datavault AI Incorporated had a very busy the 24th of November. They completed a significant financial transaction involving Bitcoin and share issuance with Silex Holding Company. At the same time, they held their annual meeting where shareholders approved a massive increase in authorized share capital and the issuance of shares tied to that large transaction. What does this mean for the company? Well, on the one hand, these actions suggest Datavault AI is gearing up for significant growth or strategic moves that require a lot of capital or will involve substantial equity. The Bitcoin transaction is certainly a bold move, indicating a willingness to embrace new financial technologies. However, The shareholder votes on the share increase and the large issuance reveal a potential division among investors. While the necessary approvals were obtained, the significant against and abstain votes, especially on Proposal 3 and 4, suggest that some shareholders are wary of the potential dilution of their stakes. This could signal a need for the company to communicate its strategy and the benefits of these actions very clearly to maintain investor confidence. For me, this filing tells us Datavault AI is in a phase of aggressive expansion or restructuring. The use of Bitcoin for a major transaction is noteworthy and shows they are not afraid to innovate. The massive increase in authorized shares while approved is a double-edged sword. It provides flexibility but also a continued overhang on the stock price if not managed carefully with value-creating initiatives. The key question moving forward will be how effectively the company deploys the capital and whether the strategic moves translate into tangible growth and profitability that justifies the dilutive actions. We need to watch how these new shares are used and if they genuinely create value for all shareholders, not just the new ones coming in. Alright, that is our breakdown of Datavault AI Incorporated's latest filing. What is your take on these numbers and what they signal for the company's future? Do you think this aggressive share issuance is a smart move or a red flag? Drop your thoughts in the comments below. If this analysis was valuable, hitting that like button really helps, and subscribe for more deep dives into the corporate world. Don't forget to check out the Discord link in the description. Thanks for watching, see you next time.